We were just talking about Jamie's Patreon, wherein she will be writing about the different aspects of the MeToo movement, particularly the so-called backlash, and that it's ruining sex across the country.
It's ruining
and ruining eros.
There's no eros anymore.
And of course,
folks.
Tucker Carlson was on this. Of course, he's very concerned about it as well.
There's no eros.
Heather MacDonald from the Manhattan Institute has completely dug into this, and she's there. And look at how furrowed Tucker Carlson's brow is at this. He's really trying to understand this. And here she goes. She's going to explain to you what has happened, ladies and gentlemen, by women being in some way emancipated to actually express that they are open to the idea of having a sex life. It has inhibited their ability to have a sex life.
Before sexual liberation hit in the 1950s, you had a set of traditional norms that recognized this basic truth. Men and women are different. It's not social construction. Men and women have different biological drives. Their libidos are different. And we had a set of norms that...
Well, also add that I think in the 1950s, in every state in the Union, remember, a man's wife was his chattel. So, that's another thing to lament. That's gone.
Great word.
It was a different set of norms.
There was none of this, keep your own last name or even your own first name. Back in the day, if I was married in 1950, I would introduce my wife as, here is Mrs. Samuel Seder.
Here's Mrs. Samuel Seder.
There you go.
Yeah, that's how they do it in the animal kingdom, too. It's just nature.
It's just nature, ladies and gentlemen. No construct here, but continue.
Restrained the male libido, norms of gentlemanliness and courtesy and chivalry, and we had a default...
Pause it. I'm sure you've seen all those images of those gentlemanly, chivalrous men holding those water cannons and spraying down black people.
Those were black people, not women?
Oh, fair enough. Go ahead.
Marital sex for females that was no. And that gave females the power to say yes, but they didn't have to negotiate with the male libido at every instance of some drunken coupling. Sexual liberation threw that all out and said men and women should go mano a mano on the sexual battlefield. They're equal in their desires, equal in their responses to casual sex. And it turns out when you set the default at yes for premarital sex, a lot of women have a hard time negotiating a no. And instead of recognizing that we've sort of screwed up the default settings and are working against biology, women are blaming the patriarchy when the opposite is the case.
Yeah,
now, pause it. Now, here's the thing, is that there was a couple of missteps in the Department of determining what the default for sex amongst women was. That happened, of course, in the 60s because we didn't have the full technology at that time in which to disseminate the propagation of the default of whether sex is. Yeah, but...
I think the point is there is no default. Call me crazy. That's why you got to ask.
Let's see how Tucker Carlson still has this very concerned look on his face. Like, I think he's thinking, honestly, like, man, what is she talking about?
Are you killing Eros?
Are you serious?
Isn't
Now I'm
Eros
going to have to
gonna
respond
die?
to this. I'm going to do one of those, regardless of everything you just said. Here's my point.
The case.
Whatever its effects, it has not made women happier the last 50 years. I mean, there's been a longitudinal study on this, and American women have not become happier. I wonder if you destroy men or complete the destruction of men, they're pretty close to being destroyed, I would say. How does it help women exactly? And what will be the effect on women?
I think you're going to see a lot of regrets.
You know what? I definitely, this is where I think, we can all agree. When the men are completely destroyed and we are pulverized into just simply dust.
Almost there.
And we're almost there. The thing is that I think it's definitely happening too quickly because we don't have the technology quite yet to completely replace us.
We're working on it.
I understand, but
Yeah, good luck.
you're
going to
feel a little bit bad if we get destroyed, on Tuesday, and you weren't going to finish the technology until Friday. That's all I think we're saying. That's all we're saying. And
You're
I think
killing
we can all agree.
adults.
There you go.
We'll take it under advisement.
You're totally ruining fucking adults.
Also, I just want everyone to know that, we keep saying Eros, like we came up with this funny joke, but it was actually used sincerely in a New York Times op-ed by one Daphne Merkin, who is sincerely, at least allegedly, sincerely concerned about this, almost like this god that she worships called Eros that exists independently of any of us.
Eros is my fucking god.
Who
Am I
killed
right,
Eros?
ladies?
Who killed Eros?
Which is clearly more important than, the needs of actual human beings. But
You don't know your needs.
That's
I'm not
just me.
biologically equipped.
If you don't pay homage, then it might rain for a long time.
If you pay homage to Eros, then it doesn't rain.
Yeah.
you're making him angry.
You make Eros. Eros is not. Eros is gender fluid.
Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos